So good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for joining us today for what promises to be an engaging and inspiring conversation with author Michelle Ferguson. We are delighted to have Michelle with us this afternoon to discuss her novel, A Love Like Ours. Through her storytelling, Michelle explores the complexities of relationships, power of connection, and the experiences that shape our lives. Her work invites readers to reflect on love, resilience, and the journeys that bring people together. Today, Michelle will share insights into the inspiration behind A Love Like Ours, her writing process, and the path that led her to bring this story to life. Following her presentation, there will be an opportunity for questions and discussion. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Michelle Ferguson.
Thank you, Amy, and thank you so much. I know that I'm in between maybe the beach, the lunch, or the apero, so I'm so grateful and humbled because of, you have choices as to where you're gonna be and you choose to be here. And thank you for Osterville Library for hosting me. I'm so humbled and grateful. So as Amy said, this will be a different type of author's book. It will be like a storytelling, and I'll be reading a little bit. Below there's some notepads and things. So if you wanna reflect or you wanna do some gratitude exercises, I will pause and this will be informal. So along the way during the gratitude exercises or reading, you wanna ask questions in between. That's also fine. Before I get started with I want to ask everybody here to just kind of break the ice. Has anyone experienced a love so profound that continues to shape you after everything has changed, or you're experiencing it right now? And there's no right or wrong answer. It's an experience. And I have to lighten the mood because, it's a mood. You don't think. Okay. May I ask then, and you don't, if you're not comfortable, then we could, but what, may I ask what made you come today? Because it's a beautiful weather, Craigville Beach and it are really beautiful right now. So what triggers it? If I may ask, yeah.
Yeah, it's just, when I saw your book at the library, it was similar to what I'm going through too, that I was so anxious just to meet you. And when I read the book, it was just like, we really have to meet you. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Now there's no pressure, right?
Yeah.
So why I'm sharing my story so you could relate. So this story was just really, it doesn't mean to be published to begin with. It was my husband and I, we love journalizing. And he does his diary and everything. And then later on at Mogar at Cancer Center, I never left his side. I was typing while he was doing his chemotherapy, because his chemotherapy it's every 2 weeks, and we have to go there on Wednesday. He had to connect, and we will go home with a bag, and then we will come back on Friday to disconnect. So not only was I caregiver, I learned how to quick CNA classes and things just in case so during those therapy, one of the nurses was asking what is Michelle doing? And Jerry said, oh, she's just typing, she loves journalizing and everything and stuff. And then he said, oh, I want you to share your story because not many people get what are the odds, right? Like 6 months apart, we were diagnosed with cancer, and our attitude, like we have a choice whether we be grumpy or be grateful for what still lies ahead and prepare each other. So that's how it started. And he started writing, and it's supposed to be like his version and my version, and then our thing. And then unfortunately he passed before the book is finished. And when I submitted it to an editor, I should say not auditor, because that's my other job. When I submitted it to the editor, I said like, why won't you just write it on your own way, Michelle? So that's when the love like ours came into sight. Don't have to be mindful with time. And if I talk so fast or with my accent, just raise your hand and I will speak slowly. So we didn't let cancer take the best of us. So this photo was actually taken 1 week after he gets out of Mogar. Yeah, so he had a back-to-back brain surgery, and as a result of that, the blood he's got some blood clot and some seizure. So what happened is he had to be rushed to the hospital a week before our trip to France, in Cannes, and they have to give him, like Lovinox to inject for the blood thinner. And Dr. Lavitt was saying, like, Dr. Cherry was saying to Dr. Lavitt, we are going to France. And Dr. was like, Michelle, you really have to learn how to inject Jerry in the belly for the blood thinner, because that will be the quickest way if something would happen. So I still have the video in my phone. I took that one, but the hardest part was on the plane, because we fly economy, not business class, I imagine. So I said, oh my God, he was at the restroom. I said, okay, I hope he's gonna be okay injected. So I choose this photo to kind of present that we're still smiling, and this is 1 week after his surgery, and then 2 months before my operation also for my breast cancer. So that's that picture is really so special that I shared that. So one kind is, I'm gonna read a couple of pages that I love like ours, and then there will be some, if you'd like to, I'm gonna just pass this around, some, if you wanna do like write your own or some reflection in there. So, thank you. All right, so let's gonna get this, kind of be mindful of it. And so far the speed is okay. All right, so let me. Okay. The sleep gray January sky played behind my husband Jerry as he gets ready to leave to his chiropractor appointment, 2 towns away from our Cape Cod home. For more than 25 years I'd known him, he had a back trouble. As a veteran and later a subcontractor, he'd find, as a veteran and as a subcontractor, fighting to finish carpentry, he was the type of person who never quit. He was constantly on the go. He was always lifting, building, and moving. It had taken a toll on his body, and he was well acquainted with chiropractic care. That day, I made the average breakfast. Then I sent in a warm but unmemorable goodbye. It was just like a regular day. We had an easy way together, built over the decades. When we first gotten together in Cebu, Philippines, in our early 20s, not too many people would have bet on us to make it. He was an outgoing Midwestern, salt of the earth type, and I was a Filipina used to living around and working with Europeans. I just had my heart broken and wasn't ready for commitment. In a way, even if I didn't fully bet on us in our early days, as our relationship developed, I told myself, well, if it doesn't work, I can always move on. But here in the cozy home we built together decades later, any doubt about what might grow between us was an ancient history. We'd crafted what most of our friends considered an enviable life. We traveled, we laughed, and shared that rituals that made us feel mutually loved and appreciated. We just came back from our trip of a lifetime in Iceland. And although perhaps it's not exactly accurate to call a trip of a lifetime, since we took at least 2 epic vacations a year, or sometimes more, and we've done this for the last 10 years. It's not that we are rich, but we prioritize experience. We didn't give each other presents, we saved up for travel. We didn't have children, so we focused on each other. We kept a big map in the world our home, complete with pins for everywhere we go and we plan to visit, or already been. Green are for the countries that we haven't visited, and red has been there. There was a lot of red, but even more green. I relish that many beautiful years we would spend seeing the world together. On our most recent trip to Iceland, we had landed in a frigid Reykjavik just before Christmas. We had a whirlwind of itinerary, eager to take everything in this beautiful land has to offer. We did the Golden Circle, we went to the glacier, and we went filming to the Game of Thrones. And I always said, everybody watch Game of Thrones. I said, oh, the winter is coming. You should see me like, and him like, up. It's funny. So it's not in the book, I just added it. But the Game of Thrones is really later. I didn't say the winter is coming. I should have said that because we were there in Christmas. Jerry is not a diver, but I am. So I dove in Iceland's water, a beautiful, breathtaking experience that I never forget. My my diving spot was the only place on Earth where divers can touch two continental tectonic plates at once. In a nearly freezing water, I could touch the continent of Europe and North America at the same time. We celebrated Christmas in Iceland, and a few days after that, we headed off to a bus tour that would make us about an hour and a half away from our hotel. We were hoping to see the aurora borealis, the northern lights. We've heard we're so impressive that we never witnessed it before. It didn't start as particularly auspicious excursion. The drive felt long in darkness, and we were in each other's layer, including thermal underwears to protect us from the frigid cold. Not exactly a sexy attire, but it was necessary. We've been warned that there was no guarantee we'd ever see the northern lights. After 45 minutes with nothing but inky sky above us, I began to get impatient. I'm cold, I complained. I want it now. It's nature, Jerry said. We cannot rush it. And suddenly, in the velvety darkness, a flash of green light skies, then violet, and playing, moving in a magical circle. I even pinched myself. It's not in the book, I added it. I pinched myself because it was just so magical. And we was like, oh, are we in this together? And it was that. So I will add it. Here was a man, he looked at me and with purity and inspiring romance, at the moment swept me like lights of the sky. Here was this man, my sweetie, patiently waiting for me so we could enjoy the moment, and we get to have it. I get to have him. The romance of the moment overtook me, the cold forgotten, and he leaned down and kissed me. I was finally getting my aurora borealis. It was a sight so breathtaking, and we forgot how frozen we felt. It was minus 12 degrees Celsius. I don't know the Fahrenheit. We were both speechless as we gazed the zero colors dancing against the darkness. Somewhere on the trip, Jerry got a headache. A consistent ache, he agonized as a 6 in the pain scale. So those that are on chemo treatment, we know what 6 is.
Yeah.
I was sorry to think that any of our trip might be marred by his feeling under the weather, but some ibuprofen took care of it. I've experienced headaches with big changes in temperature as well, so there was no denying that it was cold in Iceland in the dark of winter. As was Jerry rallied and his headache didn't take off the stride of our moment. We came back December 31, and a few weeks later, Jerry was on his way to his routine chiropractor appointment. I had a busy day ahead of me. I made my way to my office in Hyannis. As a financial advisor with a thriving business and a big client base, I had meetings scheduled, cold calls. I saw him off and turned towards getting my day started. Even if there has been a cause for worry, I'm not worrying by nature. I'm an organizer and a planner, and I trust that things will generally turn out well. Then I had a text from our primary care doctor. Michelle, I'm using Jerry's phone. This is Dr. Rainey. He's on his way to the hospital. Meet him there. We think he had a heart attack. If words could deal a physical blow, there was it. It was not a text, it was the text no wife ever wants to see. I got up from my desk and made my way to the car in daze. Only later I realized that I forgot to ask the proper explanation from Dr. Rainey. Was it stroke? Was it a heart attack? How could the doctor tell? I drove to Cape Cod Hospital in my fog and quietly parked in the car. The ER visit happened on January 29 of 2019. By February 1, they wanted to operate to remove one of the growths on his brain. They recommended we focus on the left one first because that's what affecting Cherry to speak. So that's why we thought that he had a stroke or a heart attack for that one. So we really didn't get a chance to really, after the diagnosis, like it's boom, 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 no time to process because they said, okay, this is the schedule and everything. So when we did that, I didn't know how much things I've learned or what are the things next to step. But one thing for sure, when it was given to us, life changed forever when we were on January 30th, 2019 at ER of Cape Cod Hospital. So I'm gonna. Oh, I'm gonna have it here. I haven't read a love like yours in herself. That in the single moment, everything has changed. So I asked earlier, when we get started, like an icebreaker, has any one of you experienced love so profound that after he's gone or she's gone, or that experience that it shaped you as to who you are right now, or make a better version of yourself?
It makes me kind of stronger, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I think we are as human being resilient and stronger as it is, but we
Yeah.
don't know how much strong we are when it's being just lying in your lap, and there's no like SOP guide or something. This is what you have to do, and each
Yeah.
patient or each loved one care differently. The reason I said that because when we were diagnosed 6 months apart, so I was for the first time I was just like really a wife, and then I became a caregiver, and then when they finally removed the second stroke of his hand, I became the breadwinner again because he cannot work. So there's always this challenge. So I have these 2 months to adjust being the caregiver, breadwinner, blah blah blah, and then oh, you have you're diagnosed also with cancer. Now you're gonna be a cancer patient slash caregiver. So our role completely changed. And those 2.5 years that I took care of Cherry, and I will say that's why I called it a love like ours, because we have the best. That was also during COVID, so there was no things left unturned. We talked to each other. We didn't take cancer take the best of us. We took cancer as a friend, and we have the best 2.5 year, like marriage and everything. But we were able to really prepare for each other for what lies ahead. We created our own survivals guide. Because as couples, like one person does this and the other one, so to make sure that it will continue living. So how's this the speed and my accent? It's okay.
Right.
Right. So I skipped the part that I twice. If you notice like that, because I made it, no, I'm not gonna regret it. Because June is a little bit tricky too, because it's our wedding anniversary as opposed to their 27 years old. So I'm not gonna read that because I don't wanna cry. I might end up crying, but I'm trying not to. No, but cry with them. So when the rugs gets full, life went on like this beautifully in sync together for many years. We traveled and saved. We enjoyed time with friends, and always we had each other. I had considered myself lucky above average until the day when I get a call from Jerry's doctor that I should meet him at the emergency room, and things unfold so quickly after that. After Jerry's surgery, there was a follow-up every week. He had to go back to the hospital and the neurosurgeon to get checked to see how he was progressing. I was still working, and Jerry still had a few construction projects that he wanted to work on. But because he just had a brain surgery and was still at risk of brain seizure, he wasn't capable to drive. So I drove to his work, pick him up to take him to his work sites. I became more involved with his business, ordering materials, pulling permits, going to the hearing, this town hearing to get a building permit that sometimes can be a challenge, and going into jobs. I did that way when we first started over, but over time my own business grew and I let go someone. Now I was hands-on again. Early in his recovery from his first surgery, there was a lot of work to prepare for the brain surgery to remove the second mass in his brain. He was going to have the surgery just 3 weeks after the first, and physically taxing and painful procedure was necessary but tough. But besides the bandages on his head, Sherry felt he was normal self. He was positive, energetic, funny, joking, and upbeat. If anything, it seemed that his falter has gone away a bit more than before the surgery. And he'd say even more outrageous or salty things than before. We walk around our neighborhood so we could be sure to get his exercise. We did our best to go on with our lives as much as possible, as close to the way we used to be. Since he was spending more time at home than before, we started to write my schedule down so he'd know when to keep it down when I was talking to clients. In late March or early April, his chemo started. He get the treatment every 2 weeks, except during this time, his blood clots were low. When the test came back this way, the chemo had to be postponed. We tried to roll with the new demands on the time to best of our ability. Jerry's outlook is incredibly positive and light, so it helped me stay calm and focused. In 2019, despite all the instruction of the medical procedures, we did travel. I'd earned a trip to southern France in Cannes and Marseille. So we really began looking forward to it. He just had the surgery in February and again in March. And in April, he had a blood clot, which meant an addition of another drug cocktail. This one got to injected to his belly twice a day, as I showed earlier with the photo. When he got out, he told his oncologist we still wanted to go to our trip. We pack up the shots and take them with us. On May 5th of 2019, we went to France for 2 weeks. We as human beings, we all have expiration dates, and we decided that we weren't going to let the diagnosis keep us from traveling. On the flight over to France, Jerry has to go into this tiny airplane bathroom to give himself that Lovenox shot. I usually the one giving it to him, but there was no way that the two of us would fit in that airplane bathroom. So he did it alone. I was so stressed out how I was going to manage on his own, but he did it. When we landed, we got taken off the plane first in the wheelchair because of his medical condition. We joke about the upsides of the current situation. Now we're always going to be the first and all these things going through us. We arrived in Marseille and we had a great time. We ate, we drank, we danced. For 2 weeks, we lived almost as if without cancer. We talked on the streets of Marseille like locals. In Monaco, we had scheduled a tour in the palace. He laughed and said, I've got to give myself a shot before we go in there. And he did, and we went on. It wasn't exactly a trip that might have been before he got sick, because he was getting so tired easily because of his diagnosis. But his spirit was endless. He pushed me to do everything. He rallies wanted to get us most of it. Our friends and Jerry's doctor couldn't believe that he was on the big trip soon after he just got those two big surgeries. But that's how he liked to live life, even when things were hard. When we get back on May 12, on May 2014, he started his chemo again. On June 20, coming soon, I got my routine mammogram. After a few days, I get a call back. I needed additional screening with an ultrasound. I didn't think much of it because there was a lot of focus on Sherry's illness and treatment. On July 5th, I went to get what I imaged was a routine follow-up mammogram. When they called to ask me to go back for the result, that's dawning to me that this might not be a good news. I was diagnosed with breast cancer. Luckily, as scary as these words there was silver lining. My cancer was in an earlier stage and I wouldn't need a chemo. I was given an option. I could get a radiation or get the surgery. I didn't have the bandwidth to process because I was already taking care of Cherry. So I just decided I'm going to do a double mastectomy. Because of Cape Cod's population doubled in the summer, the hospital was overflowing and they put me in the pediatric room for my recovery. This Miss Jerry couldn't stay with me, but he was as much as he could be. When it came time for me to be released, Jerry mentioned to the nurses I had to go at 11 because I wanted to be at 1 p.m. at home to have a Zoom with my client. The nurse told him that she doubted this would happen because somebody still had to teach me on how to manage the drain because I have 2 drains that's put in my body. Jerry joked, I grew up in a farm, show me. You didn't know my wife. The only time that she will be late for the appointment if she is dead, and that's even questionable. So even during those tough times, he kept his sense of humor. It brightened up everyone around him, especially me. He had just had his chemo, but he sucked it up to take care of me. A week after my reconstruction, Jerry had a seizure. It was a regular morning. I usually called my family back in Philippines, even if it was just for 5 minutes. I was on the phone when I heard a big noise in the bathroom, like boom. I ran to him and he was drooling and seizing. He never had done that before. I was terrified, so I had to call 911. As I waited for the ambulance, I prayed, if it's going to be like this, Lord, take him now. Human beings can be so selfish and hold on, and I was guilty at that. But then when I look at him, he didn't seem like he was there anymore. I tried to wrap my head around the fact that I had to stop being selfish and wishing for him to stay around as long as possible. I couldn't imagine his living like this. But the moment of terror passed. When the paramedics came, they helped him regain his consciousness. But they still have to take him to the hospital. As he was being wheeled away, I knew he was still his old self because he cracked a joke. He said, okay, maybe they will cut this. I better be okay. I better be okay because my wife will almost get a new breast next week. And the insurance is paying for it. And I want to make sure to say it. Sorry, that was classic Jerry. I guess cancer or no cancer, men are men. It was mortifying but reassuring that he was back as his regular Joe. So even when the rugs get pulled, we still find humor. And I didn't share it when we started is that before we were diagnosed, I practiced gratitude. He practiced gratitude. We do yoga together, but our gratitude is not always together. And when we were diagnosed and when it was broken, that's the first actually, when it was said to him that he was stage 4 esophageal cancer with brain mets, that's when it's, and he was like, it was a punch in the gut and we were awkward silence. And then he said, well, at least I have time to prepare you. Because I mean, I have to make a list on what to do with the yard and everything. So we have each other's like what we call survival's guide. So as I said, Jerry's an interior finish carpenter, so he does all the yard and everything, and I'm in finance. So my survival guide to him is that how to balance a checkbook. Literally, because like how to, because sometimes it just go to the debit card and then it goes to the bank and it thinks it's still the same balance. So no, because sometimes debit card is not posted. How many original debt certificate he need to have because to go to the insurance, to go to the bank, etc. It's more banking and finance and the inside the house. And he survived one of the survival kit to me, which I really used it right away, 3 days and 2 weeks after he died, is how to open the garage door when we don't have power because I'm short even with this one. So it's like get your aerobic steps, and so because we had that storm and and like we have this storm like takes 3 to 5 days to have our electricity back, right? So I was having I was 2 weeks after it passed away. I have this 3 hole binder with a flashlight going through this thing, so like laughing and crying. I go, thank you, Jerry, but why did you choose it? And then when I went to the girls, oh shucks, I have to go back upstairs. I forgot my aerobic step because I'm like, get your aerobic steps. So it was laughing and crying, but and we're so grateful for that one because he even shared that to me. So we did our survival guide together, and I mean separately, and then we share it with each other. So we are really, so those 2.5 years, we really prepared each other for what lies ahead because we just know that when it's death, it's really just come close and personal, that it's not a matter of when, and it's just, I mean, it's just a matter of when. So that's it. So that's the survival guide that, oh, we're really time, just wanna be. I wanna be my so remember my time, like Michelle, always on time. Yeah, so in that single moment, everything changed. And all we have to, but one thing that never changed, so we didn't like cancer take the best of us. So what we do is we have team dinner. Because remember the board, we have like the map with the white, with the green map, the countries that we've been, the red map, that is the places that we have been already. So we have team dinner. So when we have Argentinian team dinner, we had chorizo, we drink Malbec, we never, we joke it around at a dinner without wine is just like a day without sunshine. Some doctors might disagree with me, but at that time, Jerry was saying, you know what, Michelle, I'm gonna continue living. So we're not like, a sip because the esophageal cancer, he cannot really swallow it, but we still enjoy, like, we dance tango in the middle of a living room. We always wanted to go to Portugal, but because of the cancer and the COVID, so we ordered some sardines in Provincetown, the take out the Portuguese bakery. So we just really have a team dinner and really enjoyed. France is near and dear to our hearts, so we have team dinner France. We played French music. We ordered from at that time it was PB Boulangerie. We ordered a takeout and just really enjoy life and also be mindful and create memories. We did a lot of videos together and started reading ours. Yes. And then so we choose gratitude. So one of the things that we choose gratitude is that the moment we wake up, was that we always still have each other, grateful for another morning. And when we go for the plate chemo, for instance, there's this blood work, right? So you wouldn't know until you're there whether you're gonna have the chemo or not. So if he doesn't have a chemo, I said, well, we could do some things together. So one time we did kayak at Nickerson Park because we live in Harvard, so closer to Brewster, and really just mindful. We walk around Main Street, Chatham, and just really like holding in there is no word said. With our four-legged son Spike, we walk around the neighborhood, and we just really choose to be grateful. And I did ask him, and I asked him like, "You're not upset, you're not grumpy." He said like, "Michelle, I'm angry. I've been angry to the world before and now, but where did it gets me? Where would my anger would lead to? And right now you are stage 1. I have to prepare you, and I'm grateful. And this is exactly, I'm grateful whatever time I have. I have time to prepare you." And that was I said like, have you experienced something profound that changed or shaped who you are? Experiencing cancer together with him and being a caregiving with him really shaped me who I am. I became a better advisor because of him. That experience, I become a better friend, a better daughter, a better granddaughter, a better niece, and more impact because we get caught up in corporate work, right? Like working this and that, but by the end of the day, it's really who your loved ones, the time that you spend with, and cancer dialed me back to that one to take time to smell the roses. So I'm grateful for cancer because of the learnings and it makes our love grow stronger. And why I'm sharing my story is that if it happens to me, I hope that it doesn't happen to any, like often like 6 months apart that you're diagnosed with your partner. But sharing my story maybe would help someone that there's always something to be grateful for, even though sometimes you have to dig deeper. And even the moment that you wake up, it's something because there are some that just took their last breath. Wala. Let's continue. So now question. So with the grace group and gratitude, it's more fun because there's a lot of questions and extra prizes and everything. But I love like ours. It's more. So how do you keep going when everything feels uncertain? I'm not gonna put you on the spot, but right now you have uncertain. How do you keep going?
How do I keep going?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I wake up in the morning and I just, but I just say, I can do this. I get up and I dance like I used to do with my late partner and do drumming like we used to do. So it keeps me just,
It keeps you going, right?
Yeah, yes, yeah.
And I think one of the best way also to honor the memories and the moments that we shared with our loved ones is to continue living and continue doing the things that you could start your different routine, but also continue doing the same thing that, like the drumming, for instance. So one of the things that Jerry said to me too, before he passed away, he had a seizure and he was in coma for 7 days before his last breath. And before that, when he decided to stop doing his treatment, that was of June of 2021. What triggers that, because there was another tumor that's on his brain, so that's like, okay, chemo radiation, and I don't want to be I'm not gonna continue treatment. I wanna have the best summer. And he's a July baby, so he said, I wanna have a best party in the house, like, oh my God, the hydrangeas, the flowers, like everything. And it was like he always have a big party because it's July and outdoor thing. So he had this party, but in the preparing for his birthday party, he was telling me that I really don't have that much in me. So I want you to find something that's a good distraction when I am gone, but I'm still here, so I could say at that one. And if you read a lot like ours, it's mentioned there, like one of the things is that because we always go back and forth in France, the affinity of the French culture and everything. So he said, you should study French. And I would pay, so like instead of, because we have this copay, right, with the Kiman, and instead of all this copay that we have to pay, I'm gonna find you an instructor. But the thing is, you have to be past A2 and you have to count 1 to 200, and then I will continue paying. That was like, so I said, okay, I'm in. So the competitive, so I did that, and later on, and then I ended up learning more French. So that's why there's a French version of the A Love Like Ours. It's the promise that I made to Jerry and I made to myself that before I turn 50, I will be able to speak French as good as my English. So that happened, and I had the launch of the A Love Like On Amour Tamlinot last year in France during my 50th birthday. But so it changed me. And I said that through because of that Jerry's legacy and keeps on giving, because every time that I speak French, I mean, like I wouldn't do if he didn't push me to it. And now it opens doors of friendship, and I call like family in my heart. And I love the World Cup. I love it, just Boston. It's the who's talking about World Cup right now. Cup of us, and so I choose gratitude. So I always say that grief is the price that we pay for love, but gratitude is the one way to keep that love alive. And why I say that, because when I am grieving and grief comes like a wave, like there's no, it's like an impact. And as long as I already surrender to the fact or accept that as long as I'm living until my last breath, grief can come and go. And I'm okay with it, because it's a feeling that you want to give to someone that's no longer there. So that the profound the love is, the grief is more in depth. But why I said that it's the gratitude that keep them alive, because there are times like when I was actually coming here, believe it or not, for some reason, Pandora was playing our wedding song that I haven't heard for the last 22 years. Imagine that. So Amy was saying that maybe Jerry, I mean, he's still watching you and he's proud of you. And because we have 2 wedding anniversary, one church and one civil. So it was it was the church wedding song. When I was walking in the aisle, I said like, oh my God. So he is really here. So instead of laughing, because I know I'm coming here to talk A Love Like Ours, this is the first time that I talk A Love Like Ours here after the launch in 2023. So all of my talk has always been with a grace, grief, and gratitude. So I said maybe it's his way of reminding me, and grateful because we're supposed to have our civil wedding anniversary on the 23rd. So it's just like kind of timing. So it gives me goosebumps. And then I cried before, and then that's why it took me a little while to come up here. I was in the parking lot, and then, okay, Michelle, you have to talk about this with no crying. I had my share of tears, but then I choose gratitude because he gave me so much love that I have so much love that I could go on share, and he would live with the stories I tell. people that we may end up helping and may choose gratitude instead of being grumpy or angry with cancer. Don't get me wrong, like I feel those things. I'm mad, but our mind can only handle one emotion at a time, right? So if that anger and if you but because we are wired like that as human being, like negative anger, but it's a mindset that I'm every day I'm grateful that I have that with Jerry's influence that I could continue. I said, okay, acknowledge that anger, but there's so much love and we're all gonna die anyway. So at least we have the best 2.5 years. We have best 25 years together. And I always say that because he died in my arms with my four legs, my red him. I was actually the one that called the nurse to come back and to pronounce him dead. So we shared his last breath, so to speak. And so I always say like I always wanted to spend the rest of my life with him. I'm so humbled and grateful because not many couples, when divorce is so easy, coming from mixed cultural marriage, and not only that, but also religion-wise, we come from different religion, and when divorce is easy, we talk about it, and that's why it's a love like ours. Oh no, don't make me cry. Okay, and then okay. Oh. Okay. So today, so fast forward today. But don't cry, I already cried in the parking lot. I might cry again driving back home. In between, we'll laugh. Today, I zipped to the airport with ease, brought by many. Okay. Again, I zipped to the airport with ease, brought by many trips I've taken in my life. So many of them with Jerry, but some without him now. I know just how to pack. I got it down in a routine. As the plane touches down, I listen to what is now becoming a familiar hum of French all around me. I surrounded myself with French, my phone, my computer, my car language is set to French. My alert and my morning alarm speak to me in a lovely tongue. Bonjour, Michelle, on se revient. So I have to keep up with my lessons and travel to France to learn immersion style by staying with their French friends. As I step out into the warm air, I feel a familiar sense of possibility, of adventure, of hope. I still think of Jerry every day, but these days is with more gratitude than sadness. I miss him, of course. I hear him and see signs from him everywhere I go. I drink at Champs-Élysées where we sat together more than a decade ago, and I raise a glass to him. He's always around, either as a boy or a presence or someone I'm reacting to or longing for. But I'm learning to love this new phase of life I've entered, Michelle 2.0, or maybe simply Michelle. We talk about Michelle 2.0 during the gratitude practice in Sparkle and Gargles with Nicholas, my friend, and he just said, she just need to find herself again. He reminded me that being in Paris, I felt flourished like a flower. It's Michelle that is healed and at peace. This Michelle keep up with friends, advises clients, and torn green pins on the at map of bread, and some place we used to go together when Sherry was still alive. I can't think about falling in love again, not yet. But I'm not as close to question when well-meaning friends ask me these days. But even if I will never love again, I know I had the luck of having more than 25 years of Cherry and I were together. Not many people get that for a lifetime, and I felt humble and grateful. Nothing is a promise for us in life. I've always believed in that. But I learned that lesson in the most painful way that rocked my world through Jerry's illness and untimely death. But life is also full of wonders and doors open in the most unexpected ways. How could I know that in my early 20s, I could go and get a job and walk out with the experience with the most wonderful, gentle, caring, loving man who would love me perfectly for the rest of his life? I couldn't. It was a kind of love that gives unexpectedly and continue giving these gifts unexpectedly. I look for these gifts every day now. The way the French phrase that I used to struggle now rolls in my tongue. the way new food hits my taste buds, the smell of the foreign flowers, and on my adventures, fresh, sweet, and unexpected. And as long as I have life in me, I will continue to look on these gifts and do the best to pass them on, leaving this place better than I found it. Because after all, what are we here for if not for that? So that's my story. In a nutshell, my gratitude journey and I know. Now we could do question and answer. Okay. We have 10 minutes for Q&A. I was able to hold my tears.
Sounds sad.
Yeah.
Her boyfriend, her soul partner was, and his husband, because
Yes.
25 years.
Wow, 25 years.
25 years.
Jerry too. So when we thought,
Jerry.
Jerry, and you said Jerry had cancer and he died and.
Yeah.
Anything happened.
He had cancer also? You're
No,
sorry?
no, he died of, he had like a stroke in the back of his brain that he had 10 years ago, he didn't know he had, and, like on August 14th of 2021, he came out of the bathroom and he was slurring his words, and I sent him to the hospital. He came back. He was starting to lose motor skills and everything. I brought him back to the hospital and he passed at Mass General in Boston. And but I couldn't see
You
him,
couldn't see it.
because I was on chemo.
So that's what, like, we look at it and, because we were kidding around when we were at the chemo, right? And just, oh, you're gonna go first and everything. And then he said, no, I will go first, Michelle, because I have stage four, like, I have stage four, you have stage four. And then I said, hey, but at that time, like Kobe Bryant, remember when he had in the helicopter, said like, hey, look at, there are some things you'll never really know when it's your time, right? But so we said, like, at least the beauty of having cancer is you have time to prepare. Then
Yeah.
and then those people that died during COVID, like imagine the loved ones, or you cannot go because of you're doing treatment, you're immune compromised, you cannot even visit. With me and him, we are really in this together, so we're both immune compromised.
Yeah.
So like I didn't know that, when it's really like in sickness and in health. That's but
Yeah.
it's hard. Any other questions, ladies?
Yeah.
I know you are, so I'm in.
Yeah. Yeah.
She had so much going on.
Yeah.
Her cancer, then Jerry, then she had to move out all at the same time. And then her mother, so she's just
So
starting.
just, I know, yeah, and you don't have.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate, I thank you for sharing, it takes, it's so brave, because it's, you don't know me, it's always to have it here to be, but sometimes it's also, I found it's easier to share it with someone that had been through, or someone that you don't know.
Yeah.
So when I started learning French, and people are saying like, where's Jerry and everything. But I tend to be more open than to the friends that we have here, because I think they don't really kind of know me, so I'm way more vulnerable and open and stuff. But it's funny how sometimes, so it's just, but I have friends who are also that I'm open to, but it's kind of a different.
Yeah.
You go to like grieving classes too.
So I went to grieving, that's one of my friends, I went to a widow kind of retreat. She in California for that, because unfortunately, or fortunately, whichever you look at it, I was widow when I was like in my mid-40s. So the bereavement classes here, or the grieving, is mostly like in their 60s, 70s. Right, so I mean, I went through that one because of the hospice, they will say that, but a friend of mine said that, you know what, there's one in California, why won't you do that? So I went there for, and it was different because, and I was so surprised that, no, there were some that are in their 30s or 40s, so like between 35 to 50 age bracket, so it's a little bit, more like there's a lot of common and the challenges, and because at that time we are still planning for our life, right? We're still like not even mid, we're still like closer to the midlife thing, so we have all this plan, and all of a sudden things are changed. But grief is grief, but just sharing those experiences, like, oh, we're supposed to do this, and then you're planning, and then so I went through that.
Yeah, that one.
You could buy it.
It's like hearing Katie and Jerry,
Yeah.
it's like, when they were going through something.
Yeah, so yeah, it really went through, and up to now, it's funny, but not fun too, because the connection I made to that group, like we stay in touch. Before it was like once a week, now it becomes once a month, but it's still there because there's a certain affinity or closeness or bonding that you guys, we ladies, I should say, experience, and so it becomes like, like a sisterhood band or a band for life too. Okay, so, but it's all over the country. It was just at that time that the retreat was in, they call it, it was, and a good thing about it, it's a retreat, but bereavement retreat, but there's also this yoga, so it's not just like things of meditation, so yeah. So some of them I've seen them for yoga retreat, not for the bereavement retreat, but it's still.
Nice.
Beautiful story.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm so humbled and grateful, and for you coming here. It's beautiful weather outside.
And she wanted to see you, and then after it was something that came up, do you want to go see her in town? I'm like, yeah, let's go see her.
Yeah, and we didn't know you were at Barnes and Nobles in the.
Oh, I was.
We missed that.
Oh, I was at Barnes and Nobles, and I will be coming back here in September 12th, and that will be the
Okay.
Grace, Grief, and Gratitude workshop. So that one is really, this one is different. The Grace, Grief, and Gratitude, as I said, I've been doing more of that than the Love Life Ours. And then because it touches more the workshop or the exercises there, it's more applicable to, like, if you are caregiving, or there's an exercise there like my financial brain, like how to do like budgeting and stuff. What's this necessary, discretionary. So when when some of the groups or even the book clubs say like, oh, can we just do the Grace, Grief, and Gratitude instead of a lot, like I said, okay. But it's fun too, because the Love Like Ours is it's special for me. It's my first book, and it's really our story. And then the Grace, Grief, and Gratitude is the tools and the exercises that help me forward. And then there's the French version of that. Plugging it in. So any other questions? I could go, Amy, if you don't have any questions and stuff. And so how did you know I was in Facebook, or how did you know I was in what's up in
We went on the website.
Oh, you went
Yeah.
to hey, voila, so you could find it. In my YouTube channel, so right now I'm doing a widow reinvention series.
Okay.